I'm sorry. Oh man, I actually started this off almost going into a snort report and whatnot because I've been working on those lately. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to, I'll name this segment later, GTG spits that grease, so on and so forth. Title forever in the works. Oh, that's funny. All right, that's on me. Hope you guys are all doing all right. Just in case you guys don't know, we have a sponsor. For the show. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, big ups to Jordan Fadeaway and the Lol Cow Lowdown. That's the show title and whatnot. So, big ups to Jordan Fadeaway for that, and the Lol Cow Lowdown. Good shit. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So the title, yet again, if you guys have a recommendation for a title, by all means, feel free to leave it down in the comment section below, and it'll more than likely make it into one of these. So that's the thing. So big ups. All right. So the title hasn't given me away yet. We're going to go down memory lane with DSP as it pertains to E3, okay, and his experiences and everything with that. The funny thing about E3 and Dark Side Phil, and with Machinima as a whole, to be honest with you, which I will end up doing a react of his time with Machinima, is that he wasted every single opportunity that Machinima had. He wasted it. He squandered it, right? If Machinima was still the powerhouse today that it was back then, and you had someone like Tevin on there, hell, even Ann Lee, a bunch of these detractors in particular, right, who are known for playing games, these guys would be in E3 was still a thing. These guys would be at E3, they'd be at PAX, they would probably be at game showcases, they would go to all of them because Machinima at that time could have gotten them in there. DSP squandered every opportunity he ever had. The only thing he cared about when he was with Machinima, was really just the prestige of being with Machinima. The biggest thing that was out there if you were a gamer. That's all he cared about. It was years until his dumbass figured out that, hey, he could get free games. He never really realized that after, E3 2012, that, hey, all he had to do was ask his representative for passes, and he could have gone each and every year up until they dropped his ass, which was 2017. So 2016 would probably have been his last year going. Being able to branch out with other Machinima partners. He literally thought that his Machinima manager was supposed to be his agent and was supposed to facilitate collaborations with other people. How was that going to happen when he shit on most of the people that were on Machinima at that time? He completely and utterly wasted. It's a fucking waste. It's an absolute goddamn waste of an opportunity that was put on him. He didn't care about anything but the bare minimum. He's on the biggest MCN for gamers, and he had protection from copyrights and shit. That was it. Max used that opportunity for as much as he could. Most people did, especially that were in the gaming sphere. Let me kick you on some game. Even some of the older guys in Call of Duty who aren't as active as they once were, a lot of the connections that they made with developers and shit back when, when developers were actually developers and shit, and they actually focused on games and they didn't completely try to insert themselves with all of these influencers and shit. That's how they built their connections. That's how they got cool with them. The zombie community, especially. If it wasn't for the fact of for like MCNs and E3 and whatever, a lot of your zombie content creators would have had a hard time making connections with people in the industry. You know what I'm saying? Like, take Mr. Wonder Waffles, for example. Everybody knows him for Call of Duty, and Call of Duty Zombies in particular. What you don't know is he's got connections at EA, at DICE. There's very few game companies that he doesn't have connections with, and that he gets flown out all over the place to test stuff, to even give his feedback or even be a consultant on a lot of wild shit. That's why when Milo's health was starting to go down for a while, people were really scared for him, because maybe he was overextending himself, but his health seems to be bouncing back, and it is what it is, and I'm happy for him. You know what I'm saying? Milo's not even the biggest zombie creator in his sector. He may very well be one of the most respected, though, if not the most respected. But he's not even the biggest content creator from a zombie standpoint. But he's certainly done a lot. So it just, which just goes to show, keep grinding and whatnot. Keep grinding at what you're doing and it'll eventually pay off. But also take advantage of opportunities when they're presented to you. And DSP just didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? All that spew and vitriol that he has for how bad certain games are, people could have listened to him back in the day if he actually did something. But he always needed people to put him in position because he was too fucking lazy to do it himself. In any case, sorry. I started off laughing and now I'm starting to get in my bag a little bit. Let's go ahead and get into this. Let's go ahead and get into this video. Now let's get to the fun part of it. Let's see here. Let's see if we actually have the right one.
I don't think I would want that.
And we do. And I'm sure there's a lot of things you don't want. First thing, big ups to Raw Phil and whatnot. As always, big ups. And let's see, what do I have here? DSP speaks on wasted opportunities at E3, and he's still upset about being excluded. And this is obviously from May 31st. And the thing is he excluded himself. The reality is, well, I'll tell you how. I'll explain the story a little bit more to you as we go along. But he really excluded himself from that situation, just out of pure complacency, laziness, and ignorance, to say the very least. All right, without further ado, here we go.
I don't think I would want that. Do I miss E3, asked Skeletor. Let me put it this way, okay? There was a time.
What happened? Well, over the course of this past week, some really positive stuff happened and some negative stuff happened. Let's talk about the positive first. The positives are, I am now 100% cinched in for E3. Both John Rambo and I will be attending. We now have our E3 passes, okay? And so we are extremely psyched to talk about that. And, you know, it's June 5th through 7th, but we're actually going to be traveling June 4th and coming back on June 8th. So we're going to have all kinds of footage that week of our trip log, being in Hollywood, because we're actually staying in Hollywood, California in our hotel. And we're going to have extra time, days to spend there, so that's going to be awesome. We're going to have full con coverage. Every day we're going to have new videos, recap videos of what we saw at the con. I'm going to be editing. We actually have some fans that have been submitting video intros on my website and logos and such that we can use in these videos. It's going to be a week full of amazing video game coverage, and I'm really excited about it. And so is John, by the way. John's always wanted to attend. I've always wanted to attend. We finally made it after years of doing stuff on YouTube. We finally got the notoriety and the clout with Machinima that they're sending us out there. So special thanks to Machinima for making that all happen. We're extremely pumped about that, okay? In addition to that, I got some news about Too Many Games, which is the game.
There was definitely a time when E3 was necessary and was special.
E3 is necessary and special. Well, it would be. Even now. That's why people keep talking about and keep wanting to bring that shit back. Either that or something along its lines. Like, to have an actual straight-up game convention is always going to be a worthwhile endeavor. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're talking about your AAAs or even some of your indies and whatnot. Not all of them, obviously. But some of your indies would benefit from that, too. If if they can get boosts for cheap and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, exposure is exposure no matter how you look at it. So there will always be, whenever an opportunity is being presented, it's probably worth taking more often than not.
And was a standout time for gamers and journalists alike.
And it didn't matter. You didn't take advantage of any of that shit. You literally squandered it. So who the fuck are you to give an opinion about anything, given that when you were given the opportunity, the same opportunity that he says he can't get because of people like me, he didn't even take advantage of it. Like I said, this ass clown, like, let me put you on game. This ass clown took a pay cut to get free games and thought it was a fair trade. Even though he literally could have asked for free copies of games since he signed that contract with Machinima. That was something already baked in. It was already afforded to him. All you had to do was ask. All you had to do was ask. That's the whole point of having a manager. Didn't do it. Then when after they had knocked his fucking contract down year after year after year, then they put it into a contract. Hey man, you're gonna have to take a pay cut. Sorry, Phil. But hey, we'll go ahead and get you some free games this year though. Oh really? I don't have to pay for games? No, free games? Well, okay. That sounds good. Fucking mongoloid. Something that was already afforded to him. If he had gone to E3 all those years and actually built connections, he could have got that shit straight from the developer. Wouldn't even need to go through Machinima for most of those games. Didn't do it. All those years that he could have built a connection with Capcom, with SNK, with Bandai Namco, being Tekken, so on and so forth. Didn't do shit with it. But Max did. Not only him being tapped into the FGC, but him being on Machinima. Max took advantage of all that bullshit. not bullshit, but you know what I mean. Max took advantage of all those opportunities. Why didn't DSP? Makes you think.
Okay? Where basically, because the internet did not...
And people forget, Max started off, he's still an FGC guy, but he started off as a fighting game guy who was also playing Call of Duty. Now, there's no door in the industry that he can't walk through. Doesn't matter what the game is. At any given time, Max can put the phone call in, and someone's gonna pick up and be like, "Oh, you want to do an interview? Or you want to tour this game? You want to play this game early? Yeah, we can do that. We can make that happen for you, without question." Makes you think.
allow us to instantly give out all information on something, it made sense that E3 existed.
Suck it in, Snorts.
To have a focal point where gaming journalists would, basically convene and meet up and get presented with all of this information.
It wasn't just them. You're a fucking retard. You're talking about gaming content creators, gaming journalists. You had anybody who was in gaming, not just journalists. Anybody who was in gaming could go. And then, like I said, people forget, it wasn't the complete cosplay showcase it was at first. That came later. That was just people who were just real big fans of whatever their games of choice were who started cosplaying. And that's what turned it into that. A lot of people got discovered that way. You know what I'm saying? A lot of females got discovered that way. And here's another thing that most people don't talk about unless you're like in the cosplaying. I used to know a few people that are, well, I do know them and whatnot. I should say I used to know them. I know a few people who did cosplay, but then they transitioned into making cosplay for other people. Like they're paid a lot, just a ridiculous sum of money when you really think about it. I mean, the work is brutal, to be honest with you, especially sizes, because I don't even want to put nobody out there, but goddamn, some of y'all ladies come in like February or March, and you're one size, and then by the time the summer starts, it's like y'all gone up a couple sizes, and it's just like, hey, I kind of, and then you wonder why it's kind of snug. Like, come on, ladies, you know what that is. But anyway, semantics. That's why they give them breathing room in a lot of these costumes and shit. But anyway, point being is there's a lot of money in that shit. Holy fuck. But there's a lot of bullshit that comes with it. But there's a lot of money that comes in that. But as it pertains to cosplayers, that's how they found grounds and shit. You know what I'm saying? A lot of those cosplayers became ambassadors or representatives, for Nintendo, for fucking Sega, for Xbox, for like the business of gaming is far wider than what this fucking mongoloid numbskull tells you. I mean, there are so many different ways to get into a company. It's stupid. Like I remember, because I was in the me and Asian GTG were in the anime and manga community at that time. When Rogers Base became an ambassador to Nintendo. Now, at that time, I didn't understand it. Asian GTG did. He was on top of it, as usual. He was on top of his shit. I didn't understand the value of that at first until, even though I watched Roger Base, I used to watch just a lot of his One Piece stuff. But when he started doing his live streams, and he started explaining how some of that stuff worked. That changed the entire game for me. That changed my entire understanding and whatnot. And then he would link like his girlfriend. I'm not sure if they're married now, but she was a cosplayer. That's before people found out what Heavenly Controller was into. You start getting around and like you start learning like about how ambassadorship works for all these different companies, and you realize how much power a lot of them have and whatnot. Like Call of Duty influencers ain't shit compared to like an ambassador for Nintendo has, and what kind of power they have and what's available to them and whatnot. It's really wild, and a lot of them undersell it for obvious reasons. Stuff like that. It's a real interesting, like the business behind gaming is so much more interesting, to be honest with you, than some of the surface melodrama that you usually hear. But yet again, this idiot don't know shit about that. Like there's so many moving parts that goes into a convention. Even E3 back in the day, it's really fantastic. I don't know, I'll talk your ear off about that shit another time. But it's a fascinating thing and whatnot. And just the inner politics that goes on with that shit is even more interesting. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when people fall, they fall hard. You know what I mean? They fall hard. Like not necessarily even blacklisting, but it damn sure feels like that. It's like once you're out with one company, it's very, 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 very hard to get into another one. unless someone's really willing to gamble on you. And that's why a lot of these people had to bot or pad their social medias and shit to build that up. But look at the current day and age, man. You got people who are about to go to COD Next, I should say, the one that's coming up this year in 2026. And they have 2,000 subs. They're streaming to 2 or 3 people on Twitch, and they're going to COD Next. Whereas the guys who were there since 2019, 2020, or at least have been going to those COD events, they're sitting here saying, why can't we go? Why are we getting excluded? Whatever. Think about it. Think about it. A lot of that shit that you say on Twitter, a lot of all this extra shit that a lot of these guys are doing, it came back to haunt their asses. So when you really wonder why, well, if let's say DSP is getting copies, and he is, I still think he's getting copies. Not all of them, but every once in a while someone will be willing to throw his ass a bone. But why isn't it that he ever gets invited out to events? Why doesn't he ever get to do this? Why doesn't he ever get to do that? It's not his detractors, trolls, haters, and critics. Sorry. I'm sorry to break it to you, but it's not on us. I'm going for Hater of the Year for 2026. So I'd be happy to take that, to put that on my belt, for real. But it's not us. It's him. It's him. He's so fucking toxic. And in like the gaming industry, they know not to fuck with him. They just know it. Okay, had to step away for a second. All right, we're right back at it. But yeah, that was my point is that the business is bigger than just his surface level thinking, obviously.
About all the new hot games that were in development and were coming out soon, and then they would be able to cover that and spread that information to the world. It made sense. That was a long time ago, right? Now in the last 10 years, everything can be instantly digitally distributed online. And I was even saying this many years ago.
And yet they still have game showcases, which are they're kind of like a convention. They're kind of like E3. They take elements of it or from it at the very least.
Oh, as E3 existed, why do these companies even need to go to E3? They could just do their own presentations. They don't need to go there and have a big budget and spend something on a big booth and all this nonsense. They could just do their own digital presentation and save a whole bunch of money, right? Like, it doesn't seem to make...
Yeah, but people still miss it. And on top of that, when you have content creators and streamers that go, guess what they bring with them? The people who watch them are watching it too, even if they don't care about games, because we live in a day and age where no one gives a fuck about, well, some people don't give a fuck about sports teams, but they follow players. So it's like that. You see what I'm saying? So like if you're a streamer, if you're a content creator and you say you're going to E3 or PAX or whatever, the people who primarily are going to care are the people that are in your audience.
It makes sense to me that E3 was the big thing to do. It wasn't necessary anymore. Since everything went digital, everyone could do their own digital presentations. And literally that's what happened over the course of a decade is less and less big companies went. Nintendo stopped going. Sony decided to stop going. Really, Xbox was the only major company still going.
And one would say that they benefited the most by doing that.
And therefore, it kind of lost its way, lost its purpose, and now it's dead, right? But the thing was...
But explain why, though. Because like I said, there's a bunch of factors that go into that. He can't explain that to you, though.
When E3 existed, it was fun to have that 1 week when you knew there was going to be the big presentation, right? There would be a big Xbox presentation, a big Sony presentation. Sometimes Nintendo, or if not Nintendo, they would do their own thing. And then the big companies like Bethesda would come out and, the big ones. And you would have all these big announcements all within a few days. You could watch the big event.
He actually contradicted himself there because he said that, first, remember how he said initially Nintendo stopped going, then Sony stopped going, then it was only Xbox. What he forgets to mention is that the publishers and developers for games still went out there. He forgets to mention that. Like, Nintendo wasn't gatekeeping nobody and shit. The stuff that they mainly presented was stuff that they were developing in-house anyway. Womp womp.
Everything was there, and it was cool to see your favorite media cover your, games and stuff that were coming out. I mean, I went there one year. I was at E3 2012.
And wasted that shit. Wasted every goddamn minute of it.
Was it fun? It was. But being there, I could tell you how unnecessary it was. Like, no exaggeration. I was there in person.
That's funny. He didn't say that around the time that he was doing it. Remember that. He wasn't saying this shit when he was benefiting from it.
Contracts and offered promotional opportunities. I've got all the information about my first trip to E3, which is it's a hoot, to say the least. Because, all right, I don't want to spoil it, but just to say that it was like absolutely ridiculous back then, and we're talking like 12, 13 years ago, right? Things back then were so different. unprofessional. It was like a party atmosphere half the time. And it was just dumb because all you're trying to do is make content, make money. And trying to work with a company like that that was like disorganized and everything. But anyway, I have all these stuff. I basically last night reviewed emails all the way through like maybe mid-2013. And I started, you know, capturing them. So I have screen grabs to show you during this event. And then, probably the major things with them would have been like the E3 trip in 2012, how they planned all of that out and how weird it was planned and how ridiculously it was planned. Because I've actually never told you guys the full story. I told you a story that spun it positively because I was working with Machinima at the time. I couldn't actually tell you the truth about how what a shit show that entire trip was. How they ran it insanely poorly. It was chaotic. It was disorganized. It was a mess. It was a bunch of kids getting drunk and being stupid. It was really dumb. So basically, I'm going to tell you the real story about that now. But I have some emails and things to kind of corroborate what I said back in the day. And I can show you that stuff now. And now I'm trying to think, like, what's the next thing? Because there's, like, different things that happened over the years. I guess the next major thing would have been the contract renegotiation where they renegotiated for way less money and a bunch of YouTubers jumped ship after that because no one was expecting them to just start paying you less money when you didn't do anything wrong, but they did. And then I guess the next one would have been, let me see here. The Content ID debacle, where in late 2013, Content ID hit YouTube for the first time, and everyone was getting all their videos claimed and couldn't make any money on them. And so you had to basically become a managed partner in order to avoid that. And I did. Luckily, I became a managed partner with them. And then I think, that's when Machinima got weird. Because, like, in the year of 2014 and 2015, all of a sudden they started being buddy-buddy. And they started constantly trying to meet with you and get into, like, promotional opportunities, but also send you free games and stuff. And it was weird because I've been partnered with them since 2011. And it wasn't until, like, 2014, 2015 that they started actually acting like a partner company. And I was like, it's weird. Because they didn't really do anything for me before that besides E3. And I was like, now all of a sudden they're, like, all over me with stuff. Then, of course, we got the saga of This Is How You Don't Play. And how Machinima interjected themselves into that discussion. I never wanted them to be involved. They got themselves involved. They were the ones who said, we want to take down This Is How You Don't Play videos. We want to claim those videos to make ad revenue for us. I didn't care. But they were the ones who were actively doing that. And I actually have emails showing how they're talking about doing it and what their strategy was and everything. And I was like, I mean, I'll just go with the flow. You guys are the company who's my partner network. You're the legal experts on this, not me. I have nothing to do with it. And trying to cover what I could, but I frequently at night found myself in the hotel room going online and looking for all the stuff that I hadn't experienced in person.
So you're a mongoloid then, and on top of that, if other people didn't go and do the hard work, because that's really what it comes down to. Other people did the hard work while he could fuck around and waddle around and do whatever. But on top of that, this goes back to the situation with, this is the thing with his media pass. Okay, let's talk about that for a minute. So this fucking idiot had media passes. Like, he didn't have standard, hey, you get into E3. This mongoloid had fucking media passes. Media passes. And there's levels to that shit too. There's level to the access that you had. This idiot had media passes. He could literally, like, the majority of the lines and shit, he could skip all that. This gave him access to speak to publishers and developers. You know what I'm saying? He could get into certain testing booths without having to fucking really wait and shit. He had all these crazy opportunities that Machinima gave him and wasted it. Wasted every bit of it. And then he tells you, oh, well, I didn't have time to do this, or I had to go and look online for information for stuff that, how do you have to look online for shit that when you were there all day? You were literally there all day, and you're saying that, oh, well, I didn't hear about this announcement, or I didn't know this, I didn't know that. Now, if he doesn't have any interest in it, that's one thing. So I can understand that. You know what I'm saying? I get that. But DSP has always tried to present himself as a catch-all, in air quotes, content creator who has some type of history or has some type of some type of rapport with just about any type of game, or most of the big games or big game series, even though he's actually spent the majority of his life actually playing Street Fighter. He didn't get into gaming until way late into his 20s. Semantics. So how did you fucking waste that piece of opportunity and shit? Like, explain that. and then you had to look it up, and then you went ahead and made videos trying to tell people this was going on here, this was going on here, we got to see this, we got to see that. But now he's admitting, this is what he said back then, but now he's admitting that I didn't see those things. I had to go online, I had to take other people's words and present it as my own. He's a fraud, he's a poser, and he's a liar. He's a liar. Keep that in mind.
And that people should find an alternative, and COVID basically proved that, with COVID twice in a row having to be canceled. And then it's like, well, guess what? The world still went on, and games still kept getting made, and there were still announcements. So did we need E3 at all? Did it serve any purpose? The answer is no, it never really did. It was always just an overhyped, stupid PR event that didn't need to happen. Especially now in the era of the internet, when everyone could just do their own events. So I told you guys I went to the one E3 that I ever attended was 2012. I got in as part of Machinima, and getting in there was ridiculous. You know, waiting in line an hour, 2 hours to play a game for 10 minutes, if that. A lot of them wouldn't let you film. You know, the only thing that I enjoyed about E3 was that I definitely got to play like Resident Evil 6 early, and I liked getting hands-on on the game early for like 10 minutes. But to actually go to the fucking event in person, I could have learned just as much about all the games there by watching online. In fact, a lot of games I couldn't play because the lines were too long, and I just watched footage online and I talked about it that way, even though I was in person at the fucking event. Half the time you sit around waiting for a presentation about a game and you don't get to play it. A presentation, you mean what you can watch online? You don't need to be there for? It's a waste of time. It really was. That was 10 years ago. The patriarchy just hit me 10. In reality, like I told you guys, I wouldn't even want to go to E3 again. There's no reason to. At most, you'll get to play a handful of games, and more than likely, all the coverage of those games will be on the internet anyway. The only thing you can say is that you did a little bit of hands-on, and that's about it. It's not a big deal. It's way too expensive. It's fucking crowded as fuck. You know, it's not like it used to be.
Blackout.
Golden Cold says try landing on the boat. Because I didn't have time or didn't even know that it was there. So I immersed myself in more information sitting on the internet, researching in the hotel room.
Had a media pass, had fucking a map of the fucking venue and shit. Didn't know where shit was. Holy shit.
Than physically being at the venue. So it just proved.
It sounds like he just didn't want to do the legwork. That's what it really sounds like. And then he was going to just pass off and lie, living off of other people's experiences, which makes sense because he does that shit now.
To me, you don't need to be at the venue. There's really no added, you know, reason to be there.
And then he's not a people person either. He's incredibly antisocial, which is ironic. He's incredibly antisocial, so he wouldn't have wanted to be around a bunch of people anyway. Keep that in mind.
Besides maybe bragging rights or getting the in-person videos that...
Oh, no, you mean the very thing that he wanted to be known for and be part of Machinima in the first place? Oh, no. Imagine that. Bragging rights. That sounds like something DSP would do.
Besides maybe bragging rights or getting the in-person videos that, you know, has that personal touch, or maybe grabbing some swag while you're there to bring home with you.
Which is all stuff that he did, by the way. Him and John.
But that was about it.
I mean, and that, and truth be told, John did way more legwork than DSP did. Like, John was like in the thick of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and DSP was just kind of waddling around and shit. Fucking crazy, bro. Absolutely crazy.
Like, really,
they're probably thinking about gay sex with John when they get back to the hotel room. Something lame like that.
There's no reason for this event to even exist anymore. And so, yeah, like, I understand why it went away, but at the same time, yeah, it was pretty cool that I would say there was a 1 week where everything was big going on. You could cover it as a gamer or as a YouTuber or whatever.
And you were none of those things. And more importantly, you just admitted that you didn't get to see all of it. You barely got to experience it. You had to go through other people who did videos or who wrote columns on it later on that night. And you basically ate off them. And why would he do that, ladies and gentlemen? So he seems like he's informative. To seem like when it's time for him to do his own video, hey guys, yeah, I went ahead and I got a chance to experience this, and I saw this, and it was right over here, and this, that, and the third, because he watched someone else's video. who had the, as he said, in-person footage to back it up. So he could go ahead and paint the lie. You can apply this right here to what he says for Pokemon. Oh, all the Pokemon card machines in my area are always sold out. Oh, there's lines across the building and there's riots and there's people stealing pallets or buying up pallets upon pallets of Pokemon card bundles and shit, and that's why I can't get access to them. Really, Phil? When did you go out of your house and do that? I want you to think about that. When did he go out of his house to do that when he says that he works 6 days a week full time and he can't leave his house at all to do so? When did he have time to witness any of this? Or did he see it on the internet? Well, that's weird, because doesn't DSP tell you, don't believe everything that's on the internet? Don't believe everything that's said about him? Don't believe everything that he's mocked for or ridiculed for? But he'll do that for LTG, though. He'll do that for Wings, though. He'll do that for fucking Keemstar, though. He'll do that for Rich, though. It makes you think. It makes you think.
Is it sad to see that go away? I mean, to be honest...
You just said it didn't serve a purpose. It served no purpose. It should be shut down now. Now he wants to sit there and reminisce about it? After he just said that?
Not really. To be honest with you, okay? I don't think it's that big of a deal that it went away.
You just sound bitter that you never got invited back. And that's what he's always been mad about. He's always been mad that he wasn't invited back. And it wasn't like he got excluded, believe it or not. It's because he didn't ask for passes. He didn't show any interest. All he had to do is reach out to his representative and say, hey, I was able to get passes last year. Would that be something that I could get this year? That's all you had to do. He didn't mind reaching out to them and harassing them over copyright strikes, but he wouldn't call them for free games and he wouldn't call them to get into events. It's almost like he didn't really care about those things. That's what it seems like to me. Just imagine, here, let me give you a hypothetical example and whatnot. Hypothetical Pignosis is our favorite game. Just imagine if, like, there was a detractor con or whatever. Let's say they did that. Let's say Alt and Meerkat and all those guys from That Being Said decided to do that shit. So an actual convention for detractors, trolls, haters, and critics. Let's just say it's over the span of a weekend. Probably doesn't even need to be that long. But let's say over a span of a weekend. It's like a meetup and shit. People get to exchange, you know what I'm saying? First people get to meet up with people. They get to exchange ideas. They get to talk about other lolcows maybe. You know, it's just a fun little time that's just within this community and shit. And let's say they invited some people that they asked to be on panels. So I'll use myself as the example because I'm going for Hater of the Year anyway. So let's say I get invited out and they're like, hey man, we'd like you to be like a speaker and shit. And it'd be cool if you just came out. Yeah, sure. Okay. No, I think I can make that, whatever. So I go out there, have a good time, so on and so forth. The next one is announced and I'm sitting here being like, where's my invite? Yo, James Lester, what's going on, man? How you doing? Hey, yeah. Hey, you get your passes in? You did? Huh. All right, I'll call you back. Hey, Prop, what's up, man? Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah, hey, I'm over here at the DIA offices, and I don't see my passes for DetractorCon. No, I haven't reached out to Meerkat yet. Nah. But they invited me last year, so well, okay, yeah, it would make sense if I just reached out to them. But I'm asking, did you get your passes though? You did? Okay. All right, I'll call you back. Hey, SnortBucks. Hey, how you doing? Hey, yeah, I'm doing great actually. How about you? Hey, a question though, real quick. Did you happen to get passes for DetractorCon? You did? Yeah, I haven't gotten mine yet. Well, yeah. They were saying that I should just go ahead and call and maybe I could just reach out to them. I can find out. But I was just wondering though, because I got invited out last year, so I don't see why I need to. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. All right, I'll call you back. It's like that. You know how retarded that shit sounds? That just because you got invited out one year, that you think you should just be invited out each and every year afterwards? But that's exactly what DSP did. Big ups to everybody I just named. But anyway, it's like that. Just because they were, I guess, generous to offer it to you one year, doesn't mean they're obligated to do it. And if you really cared about it so much, why didn't you just ask your manager? Your fucking Machinima manager or partner manager, whatever. Why didn't you just do that? Everybody else figured it out and did it. Makes you think.
We still have the week. Like, this week is E3 week. It's just no E3. We'll still be covering a whole bunch of game trailers and things that are going to be coming out. I'll still react to all of them. We just won't do it in the setting, oh, this was at E3, right? So it's really...
But that doesn't even make any sense because he's not even, according to him, he's saying that he's not even going to react to any of the gaming showcases live. He wants to wait until after the fact. He wants to wait for the dents to actually recommend to him what trailers he should watch. He's not even watching it for the love of it. He's watching he's only willing to watch what people are willing to pay him to watch. Maybe that's the real reason why we don't give a fuck about E3. Just saying, just throwing it out there.
Not that much of a difference when you really think about it. Back then, the resolution was terrible. They weren't good quality. Now I hear that they've become like really good stuff, and that the GoPros are actually quite good. First of all, I wouldn't use a GoPro. No, I just use a handheld camera. I've been to E3 before. I use a handheld camera, much better. GoPro would be too shaky cam, and the quality wouldn't be as crisp or clear. All right. But here's the thing. It's very directly related to what I already mentioned previously. I don't have the time. Like, if I took an entire 3 days off to go to say, PAX West. All right. First of all, people don't realize how busy these fucking conventions are anymore. Like, when I started off this thing on YouTube, gaming was just becoming like a hobby that was popular. Now it's like the number one thing. It's insane. Parking, you're talking, I have to park like a mile, 2 miles away from the fucking place and walk. Expensive to park, right? And to get in, you got to buy your tickets a million months ahead of time, right? Which I have really not been on top of or even looking into. Most people who want to get into the fucking convention can't even get into it because they don't get tickets, right? You get in there and it's a fucking crowded with people, wall to wall. It's hard to record. It really is. And the bottom line is, I've already heard that it's become like almost like an internet gaming culture fan fest with millions of people coming in and trying to look for YouTube celebrities and stuff in there. The bottom line is this: if I went to PAX West, I would just be a normal attendee, and yeah, I would film a few things. I wouldn't be able to be a guy who's a celebrity who's covering stuff because I'm just not popular. Let's face it, I'm not popular on YouTube or anywhere to the level where I'd be able to get an exclusive interview with a game developer. No one cares. No game developer would grant me an exclusive interview. I'm just sorry. I'm just being real here. I don't think it would ever happen. I'm not trying to be negative or defeatist. I don't have any kind of a following where I could get my foot in the door. That's the thing. People, again, I'll say it again. People seem to hold me up to the comparison and esteem of these giant YouTubers with millions of subs. I'm never going to be there, you know? So I would never have the clout to be able to do that kind of stuff. It just wouldn't happen. All right. To the Twitter questions. Let's get to them. Shout out, excuse me. This question is from Ditsy Isa. And Ditsy Isa asks, hey King, wanted to know if you'll be attending E3 in the future now that it's open to the public. Okay. A few things on that. First of all, I did attend E3 in 2012. Was invited as a content creator through Machinima's partnership program. Had a lot of fun being there for the first time and seeing what it was. And I did get a few hands-on experiences with games such as Resident Evil 6, Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. That's what it was called. I'm trying to remember. The name was so convoluted. Hitman Absolution, and maybe a few other games where I got kind of hands-on experience for the first time. It was pretty neat. I saw PlayStation All-Stars was on display back then. It's hilarious because the games I'm all mentioning are all ancient history and no one talks about them anymore. But that was the hot shit back then, right? That was Ni no Kuni 1, right? Before Ni no Kuni 1 was even released. Did I have fun at E3? Sure I did. It was a unique experience. It was something different from what I would normally do as a content creator. But I'll be very honest with everyone. It was time consuming. It was tiring. And quite frankly, with the way the E3 is actually run, more than likely, I could have gotten most of that information, if not all of it, just by being at home. And that's from my personal experience. Some people out there will tell you the complete opposite. Oh, E3 is the place to be. You got to be there every day if you're in the who's who or what's what. To me, it seemed more to me like just an event where they're just really trying to promote their new stuff. Almost like a giant advertisement thing. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, firsthand you're going to learn a lot of stuff about these games. It was more like, let's just push advertisements for games down your throat. And even though it was fun to see things like Injustice for the very first time, I could have easily just been at home and watched the videos on the internet and got the same kind of information. All right. Now, the thing is, but since 2012, things have dramatically changed when it comes to E3. First of all, there are people who are much, much smaller with less notoriety than me on YouTube or Twitch who get into E3. Like, all you really need to do at this point is apply for one of the media badges and give them your references. Here's my Twitch, here's my YouTube, here's my average viewership. As you can see, it's, I get a good reach. And chances are you could get in. I mean, like I said, if people smaller than me get in on a regular basis, obviously I would be able to get into E3 if I wanted. And I know that you're saying, Ditsy, would you consider going back to E3 now that it's public? What she's talking about, I apologize because it might be a he. I'm gender assuming, which of course in 2018 is a horrible thing to do, so I take that back. It says, Isa is saying, would I go back because it's public? I wouldn't go back because it's public. I could go anyway. You know what I mean? Now, when you say it's public, it means that there are public badges you can get for E3 where you can just walk in general admission. So you can see the floor, but I don't believe with the general admission badge you're guaranteed to see stuff. Like with the media badge I had, I could get into other stuff other people couldn't. For example, I got inside, before Watch Dogs 1 ever came out, I got into an exclusive demo where they showed the game for the first time. And it was just me and like maybe 20, 30 other people in a room watching this demo of the game. And the only people with media badges could do that. Other people couldn't get in there. See? So there's going to be like in E3, there's still a general admission where you can see all the floor displays and everything. But you're not guaranteed to be able to see all the behind closed doors kind of stuff like I could do because I had the media badge. All right. But being real talk with everyone here. All right. From my personal experience at E3 in 2012, unless things have dramatically changed, you know what I mean, in 6 years, there was really nothing that I absolutely needed to be there to see. It was more for me, it was cool because it was kind of like a mini vacation during the summer, going to LA with a friend, hanging out in LA, and then going to E3 versus just, you know, being at home. Every year since, I've covered E3 from home sufficiently. I've seen every major game. I've been able to give you all my opinions on everything. And I honestly don't think that there was a detriment for being at home. You know what I mean? Was it cool to be a part of that experience? I mean, yeah, I remember they caught me on like G4 TV. They caught me, if it was G4. I don't even know if it was because that doesn't exist anymore. But, you know, they caught me on television. I was on different things. On the internet, people could see me at the panel for Watch Dogs. I was in the background, you know. But that being said, it wasn't that big of a deal. So I have no desire to go back to E3 to spend a ton of money on a hotel, on a plane, on food, and on transportation, just to be there to see in person the thing that I could see in a video form at home anyway. It's way too much of an expense in my opinion. If I were making ridiculous money hand over fist like I was in 2012 on YouTube, then maybe I would consider doing it again because it ain't a big deal. But for me, it wasn't anything that erupted in like, wow, Phil really saw amazing behind the scenes closed door stuff that no one else did and it blew him away and he has to be at E3 every year to bring you that coverage. It wasn't like that at all. You know what I mean?
Useless. Absolutely fucking useless. Sometime today, Phil. Were you fishing for tips?
Kick chat is really not working well for me today. It is so delayed.
Maybe because you ain't banned. Damn it. What's he up to now? He's up to what, 6 or 7,000 people or accounts he's banned over there? And he wonders why that shit's slow. Maybe because you're boring as fuck and even the trolls are starting to get tired of that shit. Maybe.
When I try to click or do anything, I think Kick Chat is messed up today for some reason.
Because
YouTube
no
chat
one's talking over there. That's hilarious. And here comes the troll brigade.
Dark Lady Goth likes both of my shirts. Well, thank you for that, Dark Lady Goth. I appreciate that.
And I don't give a shit about that. All right. So there you go. The fucking lamest shit, bruh. Lamest shit. Just imagine you being mad for over 14 years. For over 14 years because you weren't re-invited out. You weren't re-invited out to a game conference. He could have asked. He could have just asked. All those years that on Machinima was an absolute goddamn motherfucking waste. Just a waste. You know what I'm saying? He could have built connections, relationships with all kinds of people and didn't even do it. But it don't even matter because look at the relationships that he did have with his own peoples and look at how all that shit fell apart. Just about everybody that DSP knew or knows pre-FGC, or no, during his FGC days, gone for the most part. Everybody during his early YouTube career, most of those guys are gone. Shit, the dragon who snakes, Darziak, we'll see if he go back. I feel like he will. But just a goddamn waste, man. He treats people like they're just disposable and like they're garbage. And then he wonders why no one's willing to fight the good fight for him and shit. No one's willing to stand on business. Crazy. And then, like I said, not only socially is he inept, but even from a business standpoint. You're doing this for a living. This is your job. This is your business. And you don't even know how to do business. You're too lazy to conduct business. How crazy that sounds when you think about it in hindsight. Anyway. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys for the next one of these, whatever that may be. Hopefully sooner than later. Big ups to Jordan Fadeaway. And to the lol cow lowdown, because that's what this was. Like DSP was he just wasted every bit of opportunity and goodwill he ever could have mustered or conjugated or whatever. Just a goddamn waste. It's a shame. It's not really a shame, to be honest with you. I'm laughing about this shit, but it's a shame. And especially in a day and age where, for good or bad, I mean, I guess you could say that a little bit now, but for good or bad, your name could open some doors for you. You know what I'm saying? You could say that now for most streamers, who are pieces of shit, and the door's still open for them too, at least some of them. But even back then, when it was even easier, he still figured out how to fumble the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about, like, there are guys in the FGC, right? Real quick in closing. There are guys in the FGC who weren't top players. They weren't top 10 players. They weren't even top 20 players. You know what I'm saying? They were at least in the top 50, but they damn sure weren't top 20 players or even top 30 players. And these are guys who have so many connections with so many different game companies outside of fighting games that they never have to worry about anything. They move behind the scenes, they move quiet, they do their Twitch streams, they do their YouTube streams, or make their YouTube content, and realistically, they're in the industry. If not, they report on it to other people, and that's how they make their money or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of those times, DSP had opportunities to fall into one of those things, and he didn't. He chose the easy way out by doing YouTube, essentially what that was. And truth be told, as I've said before, YouTube was the worst thing that ever happened to him. The internet at large, more than likely, but YouTube was the worst thing that ever happened to DSP. It made him complacent. You know what I'm saying? It made him comfortable. That comfort brought complacency. That complacency made him compromised. And now he's just held in contempt, if not outright ignored. He's a cautionary tale of what happens when you get your head too far up your own ass. And he deserves every minute of it. All right, people. Like I said, take care of yourselves. I'll catch you guys for the next one of these. Later, people. Holy shit.